Drew, Coach Kelly was.
It's not basketball season yet.
I was just talking about it. Coach Kelly was talking yesterday about you guys maintaining your focus and kind of doing things the same way. How do you do that when obviously I'm sure you're hearing a lot more chatter from those around, whether or not it's in class or family and friends? How do you make sure that the focus and the preparation is the same way each week?
Yeah, I think it just comes with an understanding that, you know, when you're being successful, when you're winning, everyone's going to want to be a part of it. But nothing changes for us inside this building. For us, it's still a 7-game playoff to do what we want to do. We have to win 7 games to accomplish our mission. Great win against USC, obviously very exciting, but we have another incredible opponent coming in here this weekend, and we have to win in order to do what we want to do.
How much does that help in a way to have NC State as the next opponent, that there can't really be a lull because of how talented they are?
I think that helps in terms of guys' focus, but the message has been the same throughout the whole year. It doesn't matter who we play. We kind of approach it as a faceless opponent. We have to take the opportunity to make ourselves better because, you know, there's going to be a point in this season when we come up against an opponent and a very tough opponent, and we're going to be in that situation, and we have to put ourselves in the best position to be successful in that moment. And so we don't know when that moment's going to come. We don't know when that moment will be when we're, you know, locked up in the fourth quarter and have to make a play on defense or offense to win the game. But each and every opponent we face is an opportunity to prepare for that moment. And so we kind of approach each week the same way.
What makes NC State's offense such a challenge?
I mean, they take care of the football. They don't turn it over. They've got a lot of playmakers, a lot of speed, a lot of, you know, dynamic players at the skill positions. And so they present a challenge to us. They're going to do a lot of things formationally that we haven't necessarily seen this year. A lot of shifts, a lot of motions, and so we'll have to be on our stuff.
Are you guys looking forward to that challenge of facing a team that doesn't give the ball up, and you guys have been known for a team that takes it away?
Yeah, we like to take the ball away, so that's our mindset this week. It's not going to change. We're gonna go in there to take the ball away, and they like to keep the ball, so it'll be fun to see who wins that battle.
Drew over here. Coach Kelly gave the game ball for USC to Khalid. What do people like him and Tavon filling in for Greer, what do those type of guys do for your defense?
I mean, I think you guys are just seeing the depth that we have on defense. I think guys are being put in positions to be most successful, and Khalid is obviously an incredible asset to us in terms of rushing the passer, and even in his run defense has incredibly long arms and is able to make things happen and make plays. So we have those kinds of players all across our defense, all across our offense, and it's cool to finally see those guys, you know, reap the fruits of their preparation, because those guys prepare very hard. Tavon, another guy having a huge game, 10+ tackles, the strip fumble there in the first quarter, and so guys just prepare really hard, and it's cool to see all those guys having success.
Front. I'm just curious about Jalen Samuels. How much of an interesting matchup is that? Because you don't really see a guy with that stat line very often.
Yeah, man, he'll do everything. He'll line up in the slot, he'll line up at receiver, he'll line up in the backfield. I think he allows them to do a lot of different things in terms of the trades, the motions, the getting in different formations, and so he's definitely a challenge. He's everything we talk about in terms of gritty, in terms of being a gritty football player. Makes plays happen for the offense and provides a dynamic aspect to them.
When you watch him on tape, is it an issue of teams not being able to locate him? How do they sort of make him be as productive as he is?
I think when you can line a player up at multiple different spots on the field and create mismatches, you know, he's a guy who maybe is slightly undersized at the tight end position, but has the speed, the agility to be a mismatch on your interior linebackers. And so when you can line him up at 3 and you know, teams don't necessarily know, do we call this 11 personnel? Do we call this 10 personnel? How do we best match our personnel on the field. And so, you know, they can put him in there and he can still block and they can still run the ball, but they can also get to an aerial attack and attack you downfield. And so just creating mismatches, I think.
And I want to ask you a little bit about 2-minute. You guys practice it on Thursdays, I think, most weeks.
Yeah.
BK mentioned that last Thursday was really one of the first times, if not the first time, that Brandon sort of led that successfully for the offense over the defense. What do you, I guess, could you sort of take us through what that drill's been like for the season, how you've seen Brandon get better in that, even if it is maybe a negative for the defense?
Yeah, it's always a really competitive drill. I think it's great because those are those were the moments last year when we weren't successful. You know, we lost a lot of games in the 2-minute scenario at the end of games, and so it's a big point of emphasis for us. And I think, you know, Brandon's comfort in the pocket and his ability to deliver the ball downfield to his receivers just continues to grow. When you have, I mean, we all know how dynamic he is as a runner. And when you are that dynamic, it's hard to, you know, not take that thought of I'm just going to take off and to stay in the pocket a little longer. And so, you know, he just continues to develop in that area. And so when you have a quarterback who's as dynamic as he is to get out of the pocket and extend plays, but he continues to develop himself through the air, it becomes more of a challenge for the defense, and you have to plaster routes downfield. And so it creates for a more competitive environment, and it's been a lot of fun.
Do they run that period the same way that maybe we saw in August, whereas he just has to stay behind the line of scrimmage? It's kind of like a no running allowed type of situation for him?
No, this past 2-minute drill, he took off on, I believe it was 2nd and 10, and I think he got a first down scrambling and got out of bounds. And so he's allowed to run the ball, scramble the ball. No.
Thanks. Yeah. Going back to Coney here a little bit, what does it mean, I guess, as you as his teammate to see how far he's come since the incident last season and the impact that he's had with your defense?
Yeah, Tavon's a special player. I think he brings a sense of intensity and passion to the game that you don't see a lot of times. He's a dynamic playmaker for us. He lives in the backfield, it seems like, and is making plays all across the field for us. But he is just a spark that gets guys going and really gets guys and brings guys together. And so when you feel his energy and his passion, it's contagious, and it makes you want to play harder.
And just how he's matured off the field from before camp in 2016.
Yeah, I think he's just realizing how important this is to him and how many guys are affected by the decisions we make on and off the field. And so, you know, it's one of our traits of excellence, you know, being smart. And so I think he's one of those guys who's taken that to heart and continue to develop himself as a young man on and off the football field. And so really proud of him. He's a great teammate of ours.
Sure.
Yeah.
Drue, who is the fastest running back that you've faced so far this year, and where does Nyheim Hines fit in there?
Well, he's got to be close to the top, if not the top. He's a 100-meter champion or something. Very competitive track athlete, and so he'll be a dynamic playmaker for him, and we'll have to make sure we contain him.
Anybody from the first 7 games jump out at you as being the fastest of that group?
Ronald Jones, pretty fast. And then USC also had number 23. He'd line up sometimes. He's probably the fastest guy I've seen on tape, just in terms of running switch verts out of the backfield up the seam. But you know, he'll definitely be up there, one of the top guys.
Coach Elko, not to say that Coach Elko's defense is simple, of course it's not, but he's simplified things for you guys. Talking about all the motions that you're going to face this week, how does he or how do you guys simplify that part of it?
Yeah, I think the ways he simplifies things, or he gives power to his position coaches, and his position coaches handle the adjustments and checks for their guys. And so I don't have to, know the adjustments and the checks that the strong safety or the whip safety is going to have this week. I have to focus on what the rover checks are going to be, and I have to know those in and out. And so when we say simplified, I don't necessarily know that the whole schematics of what he's doing is simplified. It's just that it's more detailed and oriented towards what you have to do for the week. And so guys will continue to develop in the plan, and guys will continue to become experts at what their checks and how they adjust versus these motions. And then communication on the field is obviously key, and being able to communicate those things and how they affect different guys will be critical for us this week.
You guys are winning games by 4 touchdowns, which I'm sure you'd be fine with that throughout the year. But is there a party that looks forward to an end game, close game situation?
I mean, I don't know that I look forward to anything other than coming in and having the mindset of punishing our opponents. That's what we're trying to do each and every week. And whether that's winning by 28 or winning by 7, it doesn't really matter as long as we get the win at the end of the day. And so we've prepared ourselves for big wins, and how to handle ourselves by, stepping on our opponents and not allowing them to get back in the games. And we've prepared ourselves in terms of having to win close games at the end of the game. And so whatever that presents itself on Saturday, we'll see, but we're prepared for either.